Rudy, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. Just take us through some of the findings of the study.
Sure, yeah. So I think, like you said, one of the most interesting findings is that South Africans want to work fully remotely much more than the rest of the world on average. So the 44% number you mentioned actually compares to a global average of only 24%. And I think linked to that, what's also interesting is South Africans really want more flexibility in not only where they work, but also in their work hours and when they work. So 61% of South Africans want some flexibility in their working hours. Yeah.
And also, they've got the study that shows that the survey identifying some shifts in what people value at work. So if there's a shift, what does it shift from? What do people value at work now?
Yeah, I think here's where South Africa is also quite interesting, because typically what you would expect to see and what you see many places in the world is that during a time of crisis, people tend to value short-term things a lot more, like job security, financial stability. And in South Africa, you see almost the opposite case, where during this time of crisis, the number one thing that South African employees value in their employers is the values of that company, with work-life balance also being very high. So that's quite an interesting outcome, which shows that South Africans see things a bit differently, and perhaps during this time of crisis, instead of just grabbing onto the kind of financial security aspect, which we see elsewhere in the world, South Africans have thought through what really matters to them and see that they really value what values the company has that they work for, and value a balanced life.
And speaking about a balanced life, in fact, many have said and many of studies have indicated that working from home has actually resulted in people not stopping from working, that they continue on this rat race, so to say, because they feel as though they have to overcompensate for not clocking in at the office. Are we finding that when it comes to South Africa, that people are finding that indeed I'm not stopping to work simply because now I feel as though I'm at home all the time and I'm not doing enough work?
Absolutely, and I think when you look at the numbers, even though many South Africans do want to work fully remotely or more remotely, we do see that South Africans also report on average a decrease in the work-life balance that they find when working remotely. So it definitely has some impact, although clearly, given that only 4% of South Africans want to go fully back to the office, it's not been enough to make employees want to return back to the office and the way things were.
But certainly it must be a cost cutter for companies, especially when it looks at operation costs. Now, if you have to consider rental costs as well as the rental expenditure and the like, maybe this could be a way that a lot of businesses would rethink how to save money, particularly as we try to recover from a pandemic.
Yeah, and I think it will vary, of course, company to company, right? And probably there's a bit of a time lag with leases, etc. But this could be a potential cost savings. That said, it's also really important that companies set up their employees for success when working from home. And there's quite a few things that can be done, right? There's the virtual tools that all employees need. It's making sure everyone has good kind of home offices set up. So yeah, I think where it will land in the balance we'll need to see, but quite potentially it could have some savings implications for companies.
And very quickly, Rudy, as we wrap up this conversation, the impact that this will have when it comes to employees having to then be trusted that they will do the job without having to clock in at the office. A certain level of trust will be then required from employers for them to carry out some of those duties.
Absolutely, and I think when we advise our clients, beside the fact that it's necessary to really have a strategy to deal with this remote working, which is based on the survey here to stay, there's really a mindset shift needed from leaders within the organization as well, shifting from where you can kind of watch your employees and know what they're doing to where there is a great need for trust, and beyond that also a great need to focus on social cohesion of the office when working remotely. So it's quite a time of change for leaders, where they need to think a lot more about the softer aspects of what creates a productive company.
Rudy van Black, we'll leave it there for this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.